It seems the buzzword on everybody's lips these days, including web designers, is passive income. We all want to know, how can we make the most money? What's the fastest way to get there? And what will require the least effort on our part? Now, obviously, we have other very important reasons for choosing the path that we do, like how we can make the biggest impact, who we are most passionate about serving, and just generally wanting to enjoy what it is that we spend our waking hours doing. But for the most part, the questions I get around building a web design business tend to center around the making money part. So today, I want to talk about the 3 most common web design business models and which one might be right for you based on your goals and what stage of business that you're in. So whether you are a brand new designer scratching your head about which model makes sense, or you're an experienced designer wondering how you can blow the top off of that income ceiling that you're currently hitting and start scaling your business, then this list of pros and cons I'm sharing for each web design business model is for you. Now, before we get started, if you're currently serving clients one-to-one and are struggling to consistently land enough clients, or the type of client that you actually want to work with, then I want you to quickly hit pause on this video and check out a free training which I recorded called Finding Clients as a New Designer. Inside the training, I'm sharing the 7 costly mistakes that most new web designers make that leave them small and struggling in their business, and what to be doing instead to set yourself up for long-term client finding success. Now, you can find the link for that training here, or I'll also pop it for you in the description below. Okay, let's dive right into the most common model for getting started, and that is providing one-to-one custom web design services to your clients. So, how you choose to implement this can look honestly a million different ways, but basically this model means that you market yourself as a service provider where you personally help one client at a time with your web design expertise. Whether that's building them a site from scratch, coding them a fancy new plugin, refreshing their homepage design, whatever. So let's talk about the pros of this model. First pro is that it's the easiest to get started with today. All you need is one client to start bringing in revenue. Overhead can also be extremely low if needed. We're talking you need a laptop, Wi-Fi, and a cozy place to settle in and get to do the work. Now, you don't even need some crazy marketing strategy at first, as often that first client comes from people that you already know. And then after that, you still don't need a massive audience size to consistently land clients. It literally can take one ideal client raving about your business to completely fill your books. Now, pro number 2 of this strategy is that you are the one making all the decisions. When you're a one-woman show, you have control over everything from how you attract clients to what needs to go in the footer design. Want to earn more money? You can do what's needed to raise your rates or take on more clients. You decide how busy that you want to be and whether you work from 9 to 5 or if it's best for you to do your designing work after dark. Don't enjoy coding, hate being stuck on retainer, you get to decide how you structure your business and the packages that you offer so that they suit your lifestyle and the way that you want to work. Now, pro number 3 is serving clients one at a time tends to come at a much higher price point than selling a DIY template, and therefore fewer clients per month will be needed in order to reach your revenue goals. So let's say you're charging $5,000 per custom website and your revenue goal for the month is $15,000. You only need to find 3 clients per month in order to meet that goal. Whereas with something like a template that isn't custom created for that client and isn't as done for them as one-to-one services are, you're unlikely to be charging that high of a price. You're more likely to be generating maybe like $300 to $500 per sale, meaning that you'd have to go out and find 50 people willing to buy your thing in order to hit your revenue goal for the month. All right. So now that we've talked about the pros, it's time to look at the downside of offering one-to-one services. And the first one being that managing clients can sometimes feel a little bit like herding cats. Yes, sorry, there's no way around it. You have to actually deal with people when you provide one-to-one services. But the good news is if you are attracting the right type of client and you take the time to set up some super sexy systems and processes for your business, you can totally streamline the entire client handling process and bypass those red flag clients and their low quality content altogether. This means no more missing deadlines, no more playing email tag 50 times a day, no more negotiating your prices, and no more time spent chasing down clients for payment or to submit their content to you. So really, this is only as big of a con as you let it become, to be honest. Better systems means less time spent client wrangling and more time spent doing the design work that you actually love to do. I teach my complete client handling process from inquiry to launch day and how to set up your business to attract the right clients in the first place inside of my Square Secrets business course, which you can find more information on about here or also at the link in the description below. Okay, con number 2, your client provides the content, which greatly impacts the overall design. It's pretty hard to build a premium level website using seriously content. When you're working one-to-one with clients on their website, rather than say designing a template up front to later sell to anyone who wants to buy it, well, you do kind of have to work with what you're given. This means if they don't have the budget for professional brand photos, or at the very least some quality stock photos, then you might be stuck using that super embarrassing phone selfie that they sent you. But again, this is totally dependent on the type of client that your business is set up to attract. Which is why in my Square Secrets business course, I include a bonus guide on building a web design brand that attracts premium clients. These are the type of clients who naturally tend to come with higher quality content that you're actually excited to get your hands on. And higher quality content equals better looking websites to stick in your portfolio for attracting future dream clients. Okay, con number 3, when you go the client services route, your income will always be tied to your hours. Even Beyonce only has 24 hours in a day, so when it comes to offering one-to-one services, there really is a cap on how many clients you can take on each month. That means if you're already fully booked out but still want to earn more money, all that's really left is to raise your prices, which you should totally do, by the way. So if you've been on the fence about raising your rates, then this is your sign to go for it. But the pro to this is that your income is super easy to predict once you're consistently landing clients. And if you decide down the road that you'd like to move to a more scalable model where your dollars are no longer tied to your hours, then you can continue to serve clients on the side to support you while you get your new idea fully up and running. All right, so those are some of the biggest pros and cons that come into mind when talking about serving clients one-to-one. But what about when selling a passive style product like website templates or plugins? Now, obviously, selling templates and plugins are not the only options for setting up passive income as a web designer, but since they're the ones that I'm asked about most often, I'll be using them as my example for sharing about the pros and cons of this model. So, pro number 1. You make all the content and design decisions. You are the one in charge of sourcing all the images, copy, color palettes, and other branding elements that you'll use in your template design. No having to beg for better photos or find a place for that embarrassing animation that your client is insisting on being used on their website. 1998 called and they want their dancing buttons back. Every last inch of your template's design and functionality is yours to create. 0 rounds of client edits required. Pro number 2, you can serve more people at the same time. Back when I was still designing custom websites for clients one-to-one, I reached a point where there was no way I could possibly serve every single person that inquired with me. Yes, I could have just continued to increase my prices until I was only affordable to a select few people, but I wasn't just looking for ways to scale my income. I wanted to scale my impact as well. And when you offer a passive product, you can be nowhere near your laptop and still be helping hundreds, thousands, or even millions of people. And all those people that DM'd you saying, "Oh, I'm just obsessed with your work, but I just can't afford you." Well, thanks to passive income products, often being at a much lower price point than one-to-one services, now they actually can afford you. Pro number 3, you only have to create it once. This is the true pull of the one-to-many model of selling passive income products like website templates or plugins. You create the thing once and then it can be sold to an infinite number of people. That's unlike one-to-one services or agency models where you have to design something from scratch every time you want to make a sale. So it's highly scalable, which is a pretty strong argument in favor of this model, but the potential for passive income does come at a bit of a price. So let's take a quick peek at all the cons, shall we? Con number 1 is DIY solutions equals DIY prices. While it's possible to create a premium version of whatever passive thing that you are selling, clients simply won't be willing to pay as much for something that requires work on their part before they can use it versus you doing all the work with a one-to-one service. Instead of attracting the client that has more money than time, you are now attracting the client that has more time than money. The ones who aren't afraid to roll up their sleeves a bit and put in some work in order to save themselves a little bit of cash. So for this reason alone, you will tend to attract clients in a much earlier, less established stage of their business journey. Okay, downside number 2 to selling templates, you need a massive audience to make decent money. Because your earnings per sale will tend to be a lot less on a passive income product than with a one-to-one service, you are going to need to make a whole lot more sales per month. And in order to make more sales, you're going to have to find a way to start attracting more people. Now, in order to pay the bills with passive income, you really do need to have a list of people already lined up and ready to buy. It isn't like web design where you can just run out and search for an extra client here and there if you need a little bit more revenue. Which kind of leads me on to con number 3, and that is that passive income is honestly anything but passive. Even though you only have to create the thing once, it still can take a great deal of upfront work before you ever start to see any cash coming in. And if you want to continue to sell that product once it's created, the work never really stops. Instead of spending your time designing, you're now spending your days marketing, setting up sales funnels and sales pages, creating content, and playing the customer service agent to your new online shop. So to truly scale this model, you may need to bring on a team member or two, which means taking some of that sexy new passive income you're earning and dumping it straight back into your expenses budget. Now, con number 4, income isn't as predictable as one-to-one services. When you work one-to-one with clients, you can pretty much predict your entire income for the year. You take the price of your packages, how many clients you can realistically serve in a month, and times that by 12. And voila, there is your yearly web designer salary. But when you're selling to the masses, your sales can vary wildly from one month to the next, and you won't know until the month is over what you can expect to bring in. Con number 5, you need more than one product to create a shop. Imagine you walk into a store, money in hand, excited to do a little retail therapy, and you discover that the store only sells one product. And not even different brands of the same product, just one lonely little item sitting on the shelf. Little awkward, right? The launch of your template shop or plugin shop is honestly no different. You're probably going to want at least a handful of options uploaded to get your shoppers in the mood. Whereas when you provide one-to-one services, really you only need 1 to 2 packages since they can easily be tweaked to fit each client's unique needs. Now, templates will need to be completed in advance whether they make you money or not. Whereas with one-to-one services and clients, the work doesn't start until they've actually made the initial payment. So that's a look at the highs and lows of selling templates or plugins and passive income style products. Now, we have one last model to touch on, and that is starting a web design agency. So an agency is really just a way to scale the work that you're already doing as a one-to-one service provider. But instead of you doing all the work, you now have a team of people to do the work for you, and you're just responsible for overseeing them. So let's start with the pros. Pro number 1, you have the capacity to take on more clients. When you run an agency, all it takes to increase your client serving capacity and therefore income each month is to bring on more designers. You are no longer limited to how many hours you can personally work in any given day. We actually recently interviewed a past Square Secrets business student, Sydney Williams, and she shared an incredible story about how she was able to go from $3,000 months as a designer to $30,000 months as an agency owner. Now, I highly recommend you check out that video. Her story you can find right here or also in the link in the description below. So yeah, increased ability to serve and earn is really the main pro here. That and the fact that somebody else is doing the client work while you oversee. But this could potentially be a con as well. So let's move on to talking about some of the other downsides going the agency route to paint the whole picture. So number 1 is that hiring can be expensive. Despite online businesses having super low overhead, like not needing a physical office space or commuting back and forth to your day job, there's one expense that remains, and that is paying the people who work for you. So you really need to make sure that you are consistently landing enough clients to make it worth it before you start bringing on extra hands. Otherwise, you could be paying people to sit around and wait for the phones to ring. Now, potential con number 2 for starting an agency, communication gets more complicated the more people you add to it. A few short months ago, the PV business was still just a 2-woman show. It was super easy to stay on the same page about literally everything, and we hardly ever had team meetings, as in like almost never. Our roles were super clear-cut, and there was never a question of who was handling what. Communication consisted mostly of silly, relatable memes and fun life updates with the occasional idea to bounce off of each other. Fast forward a few months to where we are now a team of 5, and even though I hit the actual lottery when it comes to amazing team members, there is no denying that communication suddenly got a whole lot more complicated. The more hands that a project has to pass through before it's complete, the more potential for missed steps. This is where starting out offering one-to-one design can really help you to nail down your processes first and get things super streamlined and efficient before you go adding more people into the mix. So, starting as a solo designer before you scale through passive income products or the agency model also makes it easier to play around with different niche ideas until you discover the one that you are seriously passionate about. And getting solid on your niche through actually serving that person one-to-one first will only make your marketing game that much stronger when you do go to scale your business. So if after hearing today's pros and cons, you're still not sure which route is right for you, I still highly recommend that most designers start with one-to-one services, as it will be the perfect foundation for any direction that you want to take your business in as it grows, and you can continue to do one-to-one services on the side to keep some income coming in while you build up your next thing. Now, whichever model you choose, you're going to need a way to get paying clients in the door. So don't forget to take advantage of that free training, which I mentioned earlier, on finding clients as a new designer. It's honestly a great next step no matter which stage of business that you're in, so you can check that out here or also in the description below. Per usual, if you found today's video helpful, be sure to let me know by hitting the like button. And for the best tips on building a web design business that you love, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell button so you'll be notified when new content drops on the channel every single week. Wondering what to watch next? Check out these videos too.